Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another forecast. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at the entirety of the United States, what's going on weather-wise, and kind of trying to explain it looking at weather maps. So typically on this channel, I will focus on severe weather, which we actually have a little bit of in the southeast. We'll look at that, but I'm going to try to focus a little bit more on other aspects. Snow, if I can make maybe cold temperatures, pattern changes, all that jazz. One area we will not be forecasting for is going to mountains, complicated. Maybe pull my pen. They're a little bit complicated for me, and as of right now, I don't want to make a forecast. I don't have enough. So, without further ado, let's get into it with by starting with what I know the best, which is severe weather. Right now, we have a little bit of a marginal risk going on. It's very, very small. The general gist of this is that a few storms in the southeast for today and tomorrow. Few of them, if they become strong enough, could pose a very brief tornado risk. Maybe a few severe gusts, but otherwise nothing beyond the scale of normal. Um, there is definitely a possibility of flooding with these 2 days. So a lot of these storms will be very slow moving. Not to mention that a lot of this area down here is very low in elevation, which could might not help with that. Might not help with. So let's go on the surface maps. Here's our initialization. And the first feature I want to look at here is our little bit of a surface low forming Texas. You can see the cyclonic rotation right here. I'm also going to be trying to use a few new viewage. So here's the Aviation Weather Center. Very similar thing. See rotation right here. One thing to note on the Aviation Weather Center plots is that the pressures are actually going to be in inches, not in. So this is not 998 millibars. That's 29.981. That's a different way of measuring typical as we've used. But again, this area right here is our kind of broad low pressure cyclonic rotation here. That's really where a lot of this is coming from. Although a lot of this is also just a little, again, this cyclone and just sea breeze. So by looking at our initialization here, we already have some storms not really severe in nature. Look at our most unstable cape. We can see that stronger cape will be later tonight, midnight central AM. Again, not too worried about this setup, mostly because it's not a very forcing mechanism. We have this low pressure, but not a very well defined cold front quite yet. That will be coming later on due to other circumstances slow. But we're looking at instability. I have a little bit here in Louisiana, but nothing too impressive. I'll take a sounding here. See what we're looking at, but again, nothing that makes you jump out of your seat. It's December. Not gonna be very warm. Here's our look, and not much cape at all. Version going, but pretty saturated in the low levels of the atmosphere, so that could help with thunderstorms, especially if air is forced to rise. It will a little bit of freedom as it rises up there of such. Wind wise, the photograph isn't amazing. Didn't expect it to be. A little bit of curvature in there, mostly unidirectional shear, so maybe a few possible severe wind gusts. That's the real thing you're getting out of this. Um, Next day, very similar thing, just this slight surface low slowly moving through. Again, very banana-like. It's not very well defined. It's kind of this very broad surface low, very slow moving cold front. That might be enough for some storms. I'm gonna take a sounding right ahead of this cold area as well here. Sound of that cape. Let's see what this says. A little more wind shear in this one, but again, there's not really enough instability. It's December, so the lapse rates are not very small. And that is important when it comes to severe weather like this. Some rotation in those lower levels, or a curvature in the photographs, but if you look at here, almost all unidirectional, or so wind based than anything. And there's just not enough instability and warmth to really fuel. But the fact that there is this possibility is important. There is a little bit of vorticity boundary in all of this. You can see here Louisiana night, tomorrow morning Alabama as well, and just large vorticity boundary. So that's our general forecast for the southeast. Thunderstorms along the coastline. Should be getting much colder tomorrow at the Arctic, but we'll talk about that. Quick thing I wanted to mention was just the northeast. What's going on? We check our current radar. We actually have some lots of snow observations, especially here in the mountainous areas here. So station here, Rutland, hitting light snow, 32 or 32. So right that precipitation area, lots of snowfall over here. This one even has moderate snowfall, not heavy snowfall yet, but mostly light snow. But it definitely is in that. Keep in mind, the RAP model is actually seeing a lot of precipitable water. Click on see a lot of that water is being sent right into the mountain here. Regarding snow accumulation, let's just a few hours out here, we're seeing upwards of probably along about 5 inches. And it's all topography here, so mountains are forcing the air to rise, and that's creating that snowfall. Around, sorry, excuse me, around the area, not really much snowfall to be had with it. So just that low pressure. This was actually from, I believe, yesterday. It just kind of moved its way on. You can see it's centered right here off the coast of Massachusetts later on tonight. Right now, I believe it's right around New York City, as well as right off the coast of. All of this is a few hours ago. Right now, as of recording this video, and probably as of the release, it will just hit 0Z. This is the 21Z initially, about 2 or 3 hours ago. Do keep that in mind. But the precipitation seems mostly to be snowfall, not too much rain, but mostly topography playing the main aspect here. Although we do have a little bit of widespread kind of light drizzle rain along the southern. So, other than that, it should start to become cold in this region afterwards. Lake effect stuff will be interesting tomorrow. Keep that in mind. But we're gonna get this big old cold blast across the United States. Although it might be, unseasonably warm for a little while in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. You can see as a surface low moves air until that cold front comes through and next thing we'll look at is gonna be the northern Great Plains, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. Also the central Great Plains, but it's a very similar story in northern. Kind of take this whole area right here. It's a very similar forecast. Conditions will be very similar. States there, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Minnesota. Very similar stories here. Pay attention to this forecast for you. I just won't be going right in your sector. What's going on synoptically is a large, many 500 millibar low. So a little bit of a low right here over Louisiana, a bit of a short wave. This is much better to find at 700 millibars, a lot better to find at 850 millibars, and that's kind of the cause of some day and tomorrow. I'm looking forward right now. We have a little bit of a service low currently ongoing over here, north for the Great Lakes. That's Lake Superior right there where your main rotation is. I see this on the Aviation Weather Center here. Here's your main area of rotation right over Lake Superior. Warmer air is being brought in from the south, a lot colder air. The cyclone fast. So as of right now, precipitation doesn't seem to be extremely likely for this. Close to the surface level, you're going to see some stronger showers. So you can see pretty soon afterwards. Might actually be possible snowfall over the Upper Peninsula. Specifically, it's kind of look at the RAP model. They really likes to do. I think it's just too warm right now. It's to really make that a possibility, especially because a lot of this air coming from by, you're not going to see as much snow showers. Also, just forcing for ascent is not strong right now. You do have some stronger 500 millibar, but that's going to be moving out very quickly. And temperatures are extremely cold as well, which might not help. Although, on the other end of the spectrum, it could assist in keeping air more cool. That is something to keep in mind. And that surface there is kind of driving a lot of weather, lots of warmer temperatures compared to the last few days here in Indiana, kind of around Indiana region west. That is to keep in mind. Well, to keep in mind for the northern Great Plains is that the surface low is going to be bringing a lot of colder air. If you look at 850 temperature convection, there's a lot of cold air basically all over the region. These random areas of convection I don't trust because a lot of the area. So you can see just huge blasts of cold convection for the next few days, really across the entirety of the United States there. That's something to keep in mind. Yeah, over the northern. Temperature, lots of cold air. -9 degrees Celsius. As the days go on, this is going to continue. It's going to get very dry on Tuesday. Very cold, very dry as that kind of Arctic front begins to. You can see on the dew points here just how quickly they go down. 23-degree dew point here, 25, and then in a few hours you're at -16, -30. You lose all your moisture basically. So typical water, same thing, extremely dry. You can just see it on this map, especially it's very close to zero. Yeah, that's very incredible. Very dry air is on its way for a lot of the United States here over the late week. And that also includes the Midwest. So I've been talking about Northern Great Plains. The Central Great Plains should see something similar. Yes, very similar story here. Just a big old Arctic blast on the day. Regarding the Midwest, however, there is some potential for snowfall. Move forward right here. Prior to the Arctic blast, there is going to be better relative humidities. A little bit of possible snow showers right there ahead of the Arctic. And you can see this very strong temperature difference. You can check just our basic snow accumulation. You can see and some potential for showers. You're gonna have this one low zipping up south. Might also sounding that other low from the south. This is the one associated with our current severe weather. That will be moving up towards the northeast. That might bring just enough freezing temperatures, snowfall around. But again, this system as a whole won't lead to record-breaking amounts of snow. Nothing like that. It's going to be very cold, very dry, and should be windier than normal. See pretty widespread 15 knots here across Minnesota for Wednesday, according to the RAP model. Snow ratios. Impressively, this one has quite a high amount of snow ratio. The main issue here is there won't be too much snowfall. For total precip accumulation, you can see Upper Peninsula again. That's your main region for lake effect snowfall, especially on Wednesday. So is that surface low, or is that really that big old trough? The surface flow will begin to point a little bit towards your peninsula. A perpendicular here, you can see that will help to keep in mind. That will keep your snow showers for. Similar story for northern Michigan. However, areas such as across the Lake Michigan coast, Lake Michigan coast there shouldn't see nearly as much. Dew points will be lowering quicker right there. The precipitation type, snow will be the precip type, but it shouldn't be super long lasting. And once that dry air comes in, you're not going to have that moisture to really keep snowfall going for. So, if there's anywhere to see snowfall, it's going to be the northern parts of Michigan, and some possible lake effect snow and flurries all across the Midwest. And that's late Tuesday into early Wednesday and throughout the day Wednesday into Wednesday night there. We move forward with the NAM model again here too. Similar story. You might see some snowfall on the west side of Michigan as well due to just the low moving. But I do believe that the lake will not keep all that moisture in it for that long going. Seems a little bit long in my opinion. See how that plays out then. Compare the RAP here. The RAP has a lot drier air moving quicker there. Last thing I wanted to look at actually was Alaska of all places. So I haven't really touched Alaska yet. I don't believe. But I was looking at this earlier. I did attempt to make this video multiple times and fail, but looking at Alaska was interesting. We have this very strong cyclone off the coast, western coast. Let me actually draw this on the Alaska real quick because it's kind of hard to really see it at the having a little bit of difficulty as well. Most part here is our Alaskan coastline here. Aleutian Islands are here. Anchorage Loop area and over there. So you can keep in mind looking at this now. See the surface cyclone over here, very strong, but a lot of southerly flow kind of all around here, right? 500 millibars, similar story again. You have a broad troughing and lots of southerly flow. As you get close to the surface, or sorry, the coastline there, you can see that your flow becomes very easterly. So that means a lot of this area here won't really be seeing precipitation. Areas along this region will. It's all about the wind vectors, how they're perpendicular to the coastline. Right along that coastline, again, you're going to see lots of perpendicularity. The wind vectors are pointing right towards the coast, so we're going to see a lot of snowfall in there. Specifically snowfall below freezing a lot. Possible rain and freezing rain looks overly nothing really being shown too well in here, but regarding total snow accumulation, you can see it just exploding. Check the NAM here within 24 hours. I believe it's almost nearly 4 feet of snow. Incredible. A lot of this also has to do with topography as well. So a lot of this is in the mountains. There's some mountain ranges here, mountain ranges along this coast, but topography will play an effect, and the winds are pointed right towards. Definitely keep an eye out right there. Obviously, it's gonna be cold in northern Alaska. It's some warmer temperatures, above freezing will be in place for a little while on the western Alaska until that all those 500 millibar lows begin to move off to the east away from your area. Then it will be colder again. You can see again, so much of that wind vectors are pointed right toward. Is something to keep in mind, especially considering how much more moisture there is over the Pacific. That does play an effect. So yeah, so regarding Alaska, precipitation does look likely for see precipitated accumulation here, and pretty incredible amount, especially those wind vectors are right toward. So apart from that, I believe that's my forecast. So I'll make a little TLDR at the end of this one here. Let's just get a pretty blank map. For the southeast, we're going to see thunderstorms, rain, and eventually some colder air temperatures as the blast comes through. Shouldn't last very long for the southeast, but definitely keep in mind these storms could be they could stay over one spot for a while. They could really drop some heavier snow, or sorry, not snow, rainfall. So there is some potential for flooding, to keep that in mind. In the northeast, somewhat similar story, more so snow, especially in the mountainous region right there. A pretty widespread precip across much of this area here. You should see a good amount of precipitation over a little bit of possibility for snow showers, especially over the Upper Peninsula, Western Michigan. Just Michigan as a whole is probably your best bet for late snow. And a few little corridors of possible snowfall as we today. We'll see how everything really resolves. Could be colder, could be warm. Affects a lot of things. And the general Midwest does have some possibility for some showers. Again, next few days, snow showers, but it'll be very dry. And same thing for a lot of the United States. We're going to be seeing a lot of cold air blowing in from Canada and the Arctic. It'll be on its way to kind of make everything very cold, definitely below freezing. So with that, I do thank you for watching. If you like this sort of video, please let me know in the comments. I'd like to make more in-depth forecasts like this. I just don't have as much experience with it, but things like this are huge, very good way for me to get better at making forecasts. So please let me know if you enjoy this type of video. But with that, that's all I got. So thank you for watching. Have a good one.